This is Master Hwang Jang Lee, one of the world's leading authorities on Wing Chun Kung Fu. He is also recognized within the Hong Kong martial arts community as being the late Bruce Lee's foremost instructor under the guidance of Grandmaster Yip Man. The sequence of simple hand patterns being performed here, although appearing rather gentle and harmless at first glance, are the seeds of an ingenious system of combat containing some of the deadliest close-range fighting techniques ever devised. Wing Chun, based on the principles of both physics and human anatomy, has been proven as one of the most practical forms of self-defense to date. Grandmaster Yip Man was responsible for Wing Chun's world fame. The text you see here, written by him, is the entire history of this southern Chinese system which he introduced to Hong Kong from his native province, Guangdong. The roots of the art go back to the famed Shaolin Monastery, which for centuries was the hub of Chinese martial arts. During the Qing dynasty, Manchu troops killed most of the Shaolin warrior monks and burned down their monastery. Among the few survivors was a Buddhist nun, Moi, who took refuge in the White Crane Temple at Tai Leung Mountain. There, according to legend, she created a system of Kung Fu after being inspired by watching a crane and fox in combat. She then taught her deadly art to a woman, Yim Wing Chun, whom the style has been named after. Yip Man, the fifth-generation master who died in 1972, openly propagated what was once a secret style in order to preserve the art from extinction. His disciple, Bruce Lee, credits Wing Chun for being the basis from which his own modern style, Jeet Kune Do, evolved. The elegant and elusive movements of the crane, as once observed by the ancient Chinese, were imitated and combined with the tiger's fierce attack in combat. The name Shaolin has become synonymous with Kung Fu, though the source of China's fighting arts can be traced back centuries before Shaolin styles emerged. Situated on Sung Mountain in the Honan province is one of China's most famous monasteries. Built in 495 AD, this huge monastery, which at one time housed up to 2,000 monks, created a natural atmosphere conducive to the contemplation of and devotion to the Buddha by those who forsook society and sought spiritual solace. Nevertheless, it was no typical Buddhist monastery. For within these walls, along with the profound silence of monks sitting cross-legged, absorbed in meditation, and the hypnotic drone of others chanting holy sutras, was mingled the piercing battle cries of warrior monks engaged in combat. Their refuge, the fabled Shaolin Monastery, was a center for men dedicated not only to salvation, but to a secret discipline, which was a curious blend of physical toughness and spiritual purity. The genesis of Shaolin Kung Fu, which because of oral tradition has become an interweaving of legend and history, begins with the appearance of the enigmatic and awesome monk, Damo. To Buddhists, he is revered as the founder of Zen. To martial artists, he is considered the father of Shaolin Kung Fu. In the 6th century AD, he departed his home in India, trekking eastward to Canton, up to Nanking, then further north, where upon reaching the Shaolin Monastery, he stopped and thereby began to teach spiritual insight through Zen meditation. Damo created certain exercises after discovering that monks, who not being able to stand the rigorous Zen discipline required for gaining enlightenment, fell asleep during meditation. To nourish their health and supplement their passive seated meditation, he devised 3 sets of psychological and physical yoga-like exercises called 18 Monks Boxing, the Sinew Changing Classic, the Marrow Washing Classic. These active meditational exercises allegedly form the embryo from which Shaolin Kung Fu evolved. The martial arts were born out of practical necessity. During holy pilgrimages, monks were frequently robbed of religious treasures by marauding bandits. By adapting Damo's postures into fighting movements, they developed sophisticated fighting methods whereby they could protect themselves. With the influence of Zen, what would have been merely a deadly science of combat was elevated into a martial art, a physical and mental discipline created not only for self-defense, but also as a vehicle for spiritual cultivation. This art so flourished over the centuries that the valor and skills of Shaolin monks became legendary. In 1736, the foreign Manchus banner troops attacked the monastery. Vastly outnumbered, the warrior monks were annihilated. The Shaolin Monastery was burnt to the ground. A handful of survivors fled and openly spread their art to the populace. Today, the Shaolin Monastery has been rebuilt and is remembered as the origin of a profusion of Kung Fu styles over the centuries. One such style is Hong, created and named after Hong Shi Guan, a Cantonese master known as one of the 10 tigers from Shaolin. He was a disciple of the famous Shaolin abbot Ji San, who, after escaping the burning of the Shaolin, became the major figure responsible for spreading Shaolin Kung Fu throughout southern China. Here in Hong Kong, Master Zhou Jiling demonstrates the Hong style's famous tiger and crane form.
Each morning, Master K.M. Liang performs a graceful slow-motion dance. Instead of dancing to music, he dances in silence, a profound silence. This is Tai Chi Chuan, sometimes called shadow boxing, therapy, active meditation, or yoga. In fact, it is all of these and more, for this versatile art not only embraces philosophy and self-defense, but psychology and medicine as well. More simply, Tai Chi Chuan is an ancient Chinese system of exercise for creating harmony of mind and body. Man's tiny figure, dwarfed by the sheer immensity of his physical surroundings, is absorbed in wonder and awe at the panorama before his eyes. But early man was not content just in marveling at his environment. He thirsted to understand the how and why of penetrating the mysteries of his reality, to find order in nature. After long observation and intense contemplation, he discovered an underlying pattern behind the intricacies and complexities of all changing phenomena. Everywhere, cyclic rhythms were manifested. In the water, with the waves ceaselessly rushing onto shore, then rolling out to sea, and in the rising and falling of the tides. In the sky, with the daily cycle of day and night and the accompanying change of light and darkness. And on the land, with the 4 seasons and their accompanying vegetation cycle between their life and death, where spring, summer, autumn, and winter correlated to the stages of birth, growth, maturity, and death. From these observations, Taoists concluded anything reaching an extreme would automatically return to its opposite state. From these cyclic and rhythmic motions between opposite extremes, the early Chinese conceived the philosophical concept of Yin and Yang, a pair of opposite yet complementary forces that continuously interact and transform into one another without cessation. Just as Taoists discovered rhythms in nature, they found them in man also. For man, they believed, is a microcosm, a miniature universe of the Tao, whose body is tuned to the universal rhythm of Yin and Yang, as expressed through the inhaling and exhaling of each breath, or the flow of blood to and from the heart in every pulse. It is manifested in his sleeping and waking cycle, as well as with his alternating states of rest and activity. In fact, man's every gesture and physical movement through the interplay of muscular relaxation and tension expresses yin and yang. Life is motion within the flux of time. For Taoists, the supreme goal of man is to be able to maintain balance between the forces of his mind and body from each instant to the next, and ultimately to attain spiritual detachment from the trials of an ever-changing universe. To achieve this, man must seek both a state of mental stillness, wherein all emotional agitations, anxieties, and worries dissolve, and relaxation of the body, where there exists freedom from unhealthy stress and tension. Tai Chi is a method devised specifically to achieve this stillness in movement, or mind-body centering, that allows man to survive the inevitable sorrows and joys, up and down vicissitudes of the human condition, as well as to attain health and peace through harmony with the course of nature. Hwang Wen, Tai Chi master and scholar, while borrowing the Taoist favorite symbol of water, which is so often used to describe the nature of Tao, portrays Tai Chi's kaleidoscope of movements as dynamic patterns of action flowing imperceptibly into each other, like rising waves of a calm sea, yet retaining their individuality, continuity, and evenness as parts of an integral whole. And what about Tai Chi Chuan? For centuries, Chinese have praised its wondrous health benefits, which World Martial Arts Authority Robert Smith recognizes in declaring, Chinese say that whoever practices Tai Chi correctly and regularly, twice a day over a period of time, will gain the pliability of a child, the health of a lumberjack, and the peace of mind of a sage. Perhaps, in light of recent scientific research, there may be more to this statement than mere verbal extravagance.
Rape is a frightening act of brutality, thriving on the pain and fear of each new victim. While you have been watching this, a woman somewhere is being raped, and the clock of violence begins to tick faster. With the rampant increase of rape and violent crime, paranoia and the fear of victimization is now a stark reality for women everywhere. According to the latest statistics published in Time magazine, every 24 minutes a murder is committed somewhere in the U.S. Every 10 seconds a house is burgled. Every 7 minutes a woman is raped. The question is often asked, who is the potential rape victim? Do rapists usually select a particular type of woman to assault? Although many victims are between the ages of 10 and 29, the stereotype image of the beautiful young victim, alone, innocent, and helpless, is a myth created by the media. The fact is, any woman may become a victim of rape or violence. According to crime studies throughout the world, neither physical appearance, race, age, and socioeconomic status, nor place of residence or occupation bear any relationship to the probability of any woman becoming a rape victim.